quantitative easing has become the most important factor for an economy because this is no longer any semblance of reality. We simply wait on what the central bankers have to say, and that determines where the stock prices will go. But of course, it's not the real economy that's affected because the real economy has been sinking dramatically over the past few years, and you're seeing the contagion spread throughout the world. So what happens after QE ends? You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. If we look at this here out of Bloomberg, what happens after you pull the plug? And they said the Bank of Japan began a round of asset purchases in March 2001 and ended it in March 2006. The next years weren't pretty for Japan's stock market. Well, of course, the money was being sent directly in to buy up those shares, and I'm not sure exactly how you would expect it to continue its upward trend when you're the only one purchasing it. And they're doing the same thing today. Right now, as a matter of fact, I'll go into that article. CNBC, basically what they were talking about was how Japan has entered into the quantitative easing market. And of course, they've been doing this for a while, but they really expanded it right now. They're going for all the way. They're headed here. So this individual, the chief global economist at Capital Economics, said, so much for the end of QE. The Bank of Japan announcement today that it is stepping up asset purchases is a timely reminder that not everyone has to follow the Fed. And, it's quite interesting that they would say something like this because they are following the Fed. It just doesn't happen in sync with each other. They can allow this to happen. Currencies will fluctuate, and I will show you that in a moment, how these currencies do really move around at these times, particularly focused around QE. Everything now is all about QE in every single category. No longer do the fundamentals matter. It quite frankly doesn't matter. You could find the stock with everything that is great about it, and it has every reason to go up. But when the market wants to crash, whether it's the computer algorithms, whether it's some sort of QE announcement coming from the Federal Reserve or Japan or ECB, it will crash. It's just the way it is. The fundamentals don't matter anymore. Right here again out of CNBC, focus will turn to Europe where the ECB meets Thursday, but while it is expected to expand its asset purchases, it's too soon for the ECB to act apparently. But do you notice how it's not about what's happening in Europe? It's about what the ECB is going to do. Are they going to print money? Stocks are going to go up. Are they going to wait it out? Stocks are going to go down. That's just the way it is. It doesn't even make sense anymore, where it's just hanging on the every word of these central bankers. It's quite obvious the way that this is going to go. If you pull the plug, the market is going to come down. And of course, like I said previously in other videos, you don't need to necessarily pump just from the Federal Reserve or just from the ECB. As long as there are being trillions of dollars being printed into this economy or into this market, you're going to find stocks that can increase. That's the way this works. As long as they're keeping the interest rates down, you're going to have this type of dislocation. Alan Greenspan, quite an interesting fellow here. He said, as a means of boosting consumer demand, the asset purchase program, he's referring to QE, said it has not worked, though it did do a good job of increasing asset prices. But of course, it's increasing the price, but it's not increasing the value. It's not making anyone necessarily more wealthy because the individual is suffering from a depreciated currency. But of course, that is the purpose of the Federal Reserve, of central banks, is to control and depreciate the value of the currency supply of that country. If they wanted to, they would actually stop all of this QE, they would get this garbage off their books, and they would close up shop, and that would do a lot for the strength of that country. Of course, that will never happen. The bankers own this. This right here, quoting it from my book, for those individuals who believe that they aren't in danger because they aren't in debt or don't invest, unfortunately, they will be taught a lesson. Globalization has unified all markets around the world. your pension fund, the value of your home, and the price you pay for food are all linked together. And that's what I want to mention here, that the markets are not necessarily important to every single individual on the surface level, but when you look deeper, there is more going on. And that's what we need to realize, that look, you may not want to invest in stocks, but this is serious information. That's why I talk to a lot of people about this, and unfortunately it's very difficult to get through to them when they don't realize that a declining stock market, even if they're not invested in it, is connected to all other things. You can't get away from it. That's why you can't really avoid this information. You need to understand it at least at that basic level. It is very, very important. Right here, this is a chart showing you the euro just crashing for no reason. And that's the way this works, because it can happen in an instant and you never really know what's going to happen. And of course, because of the way that currencies are traded, your value of your currency, the value of your dollars, could decline rapidly. That's why I suggest taking your money out of the banking system, unless the money that you need in there for daily transactions, of course, and invest it in real assets instead, because you don't have to worry about currencies collapsing, because we know that there's all this fluctuation, there's all this dislocation and disconnect that has been occurring because of quantitative easing, because of everything that they're doing. This is George Carlin. I'm sure you've seen this before, an amazing quote from him. It's never going to get any better. Be happy with what you've got, because the owners of this country don't want that. The real owners of America, the big wealthy business interests that control things and make all the important decisions, got you by the balls. What they don't want is a population of well-educated people capable of critical thinking. That is exactly what I'm talking about here. The people, the critical thinkers, those on the Money GPS, those on the Money GPS insiders as well, are those individuals who realize, look, something else is going on here. Now, we may disagree here and there on little things, but we realize that there's a group above these governments that are controlling everything, manipulating them. All the puppets in government and the bankers and so on and so forth, they exist above our governments, controlling them, and we know the truth. And that is not what they like, I assure you. This connects into something that I've looked into before, and I've brought it up into other videos, but I want to bring it up in this video specifically. This is out of Bloomberg. HSBC was accused of failing to monitor, quite funny actually, failing to monitor more than $670 billion in wire transfers and more than $9.4 billion in purchases of U.S. currency from HSBC Mexico, allowing for money laundering. They got in big trouble for this, and of course this is just the tip of the iceberg, but you're looking at billions upon billions of dollars being traded through HSBC. They say that they were failing to monitor, but of course we know that's not the case, and allowing this money to be laundered for drugs. The American banks are being used to launder in the drug money. I'll directly connect it to this right here, again out of Bloomberg, talking about Wells Fargo and Wachovia. Wachovia admitted it didn't do enough to spot the illicit funds in handling $378 billion. And this allowed, once again, drugs to be traded, and the money was obviously dirty money. So what they're saying here is that, they didn't do a good job of monitoring, so on and so forth. The drugs are being controlled and grown and protected right now. The opium in Afghanistan, they showed this on Fox News. Geraldo Rivera was there saying, it's such a shame that you guys have to do this. And then they said, well, you know what? That's what they do. But we're helping them growing some other crops too. Don't worry about it. They're there protecting them, and then the drugs get shipped into our countries. This is not how things are supposed to be. They control this system. They control the laws. They allow everything to happen. Now, of course, they get sued, but it's not even a fraction of the amount of money that's going through here. So it's just a slap on the wrist for them. Look at what's happening. These economies are all weighing on what the central bankers are going to say. Everything that they do, everything that they say is going to make a difference in the market. But real economic fundamentals, how many people are in poverty, how many people are on food stamps, all the other real things are not a factor anymore. This is a completely fraudulent system. Read some of these articles on CNBC, watch the Bloomberg channel, and you'll see how fake everything is. They talk about all these little insignificant factors, and meanwhile, what does that mean to you? That's what the Money GPS is all about. What does it mean to the average person? That's why I wrote the book talking about real goods. I don't care about what the stock market is. I care about how much food prices are. I care about what's going to happen 10 years from now. Where should I put my money? Is it safe in the bank? Is it safe in bonds? Is it safe in, guaranteed investments? No, that is not the case, because the paper currency is being traded and manipulated by people like this, by those who are using it as drug money being traded around the world. And I don't want my money invested with any of these banks. I've pulled it all out, and it is sitting in real assets. And of course, that you as an individual, you may not have much money at all, but if you could just hold that into real assets, you don't even need necessarily gold and silver. Simple things like growing a garden, growing sprouts indoor in your house. You could have solar panels, even for a backup generator, a few $1,000s if you can scrounge together the money. That's a real asset as far as I'm concerned, because that's going to protect you in a crisis, in a collapse scenario. If you found this video informative, I would really appreciate a thumbs up. I want to say to all of the new subscribers, all of the existing subscribers, thank you very much for all the kind words. It is very important to me to see those coming in. It really helps me go in. I'm trying to get a video out every single day. I try to put together the most information I can in the shortest period of time. And I will say on here that this YouTube channel will remain free. There will be no charges on here. I will continue to output this free information if I can every single day, no matter what. And I really appreciate everything from all of the subscribers. Thank you very much. Don't forget to become an insider. The Insiders is where I give out all my best intel for free, and that is available at themoneygps.com. Scroll down to the bottom, fill in your email address, and get occasional emails from me with good, short, concise info.